James Gunn.
James
Um,
Gunn.
he made a few headlines with a couple tweets he made, and
Mhm.
I don't need to belabor it, but we basically we've been covering occasionally new things that come up with the movie industry and like seem like problems. Um, my mind goes to effects artists saying they've had to just make up stuff for whole third
Mhm.
acts of films and stuff like that for Marvel movies and stuff. So the comment that's like kind of highlighted here and stood out is from James Gunn tweet quote, if you saw how disorganized most
Mm.
productions are and how unfinished most scripts are on big movies as they start shooting, the number one reason for the deteriorating quality of feature films, in my opinion, you'd see why usually this isn't an option. And that's the question was, why don't studios directors hire composers to make music before editing?
Mhm.
um, and so that kind of stands out as a shocking thing. You think, script, story, how what's going to happen. It's maybe pretty important to suss out before you start rolling the reels and getting actors on set and such.
Yeah, it's funny that this kind of big blanket recrimination of the way that movies are being made right now came from such a specific piece of movies. Somebody was asking a question about music, and it turned into like
Right.
films are unfinished when we shoot. Production is a mess. We have no
Hmm.
idea what we're doing. We're making stuff up. Like it's just kind of crazy to me that like this came out of such like a specific piece of, like how do you do this for filmmaking and like why don't you have composers?
Yeah.
Um yeah, nothing about what he said shocks me at all. It's sad, but it's just sort of a confirmation of things that we've been picking up recently and issues that I think we've both talked about
Hmm.
with filmmaking and with making TV shows.
Right.
There's
Yep.
just not a passionate dedication to telling a fully realized story. It's just like this thing seems great, like, we've got a rough idea, let's just like move forward so we can like press it while it's hot, get the money, get the people,
Yep.
move forward.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I remember in school being like kind of drilled down into the how much money was at stake and the complicated, lengthy process of setting up a production. And so
Sure.
when you're scheduling out everything specifically, this is how long it's going to take. This is like the money per day. These are the people we need on set at this time. Here's when everybody shows up. And like the whole thing is planned out specifically. And of course, things happen and they
Of
run
course.
behind and whatever. But like it's all set because you went out and took people's money to make this thing and promised all this stuff or whatever. So it
Right.
would be behoove you to be prepared and have everything set. There's so much
Right.
money online. You lose thousands of dollars a day if you can, if you're late or the weather is bad or something. And
Right.
so to like go in and get all the green lights and get rolling before you know that you have something that's good, because that's the reality. Like you might have a great premise and you're going along well, but how do you foreshadow properly something in the third act when you don't
Mhm.
know it?
Right.
How do you have the callbacks? How do you have the
Right.
the beats that make sense with, that make the film feel full circle when you don't have the circle? Like you just it's stunning the people that have been in this field that make so much money, that have gone through school, that have made other productions, that seem to be forgetting the fundamentals of
Mhm.
storytelling. And I
Mhm.
guess you can't blame them if a studio's like, "Oh, I trust this person. Here's money, go." And we need
Right.
it by the end of the quarter of
Right.
next year or whatever, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, would you really turn down like that
Right.
opportunity even if you didn't have it fleshed out? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Be pretty
Yeah.
hardcore of you.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a baller move,
Yeah.
like I would have respected Peter Jackson if he's like, "Look, The Hobbit should be one movie and they want me to do 3 with extended versions. I'm not going to do it," you know? Someone
Mhm.
else will, I could maybe do it better. I'm so passionate about it, but that's how passionate about it I am. I'm not stretching this children's book to 3 films. It's not
Mhm.
happening. So,
Yeah, yeah, oh, poor Peter Jackson. I do feel for him in that
yeah.
instance because it's like how he loves it so much and you can tell, and it's
Hmm.
just like, how could he, like, let it fall into somebody else's hands when he cares? But, oof, like, how could he stop just short of caring enough to, like, not make those 3 movies?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can
Ugh,
see
it's
everybody around him talking him into it, being like, look,
right. Like,
you
"You could
know
totally
this
do this,
stuff. Yeah.
genius. Like, you did
Hmm.
these 3 movies, totally." Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, that's the
Yeah.
latest from James Gunn,
I could never
and
imagine doing that. Like, as a story writer, I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I know that I am killer at coming up with a premise and a beginning, and then I falter at how am I going to end this thing.
hmm
And sometimes
hmm
I get there and it's great and or fine or it's not always like masterpiece level obviously, but like it works out.
yeah.
But there are a lot of projects and storylines that I've abandoned because I can't get to that end point. And I'll pick it back
Yep.
up at some point and hopefully, think of something or be struck with inspiration. But I know that like planning A to Z isn't in a time constrained manner isn't my strong suit. So I
hmm
could never do something like this, like pitch even if I thought it was like the most amazing idea without at least maybe finding somebody to bounce ideas off of so I could get to an end point to at least
Yep.
have something.
Yep. Well, because it's so fun to
'Cause I might
ask
never finish
questions,
it.
right? Yeah. I mean, this is what we get with Lost. This is what we have
Mhm.
with, you know, um, we have all kinds of questions, crazy monsters or whatever. What are they? We need answers. They need to be seen, they need to be,
Right.
but
Raised by Wolves, like, we were
well,
talking about that, like, I mean, we'll never know now,
yes,
but
exactly.
But a lot of things that were brought up, like, crazy snake monster that we were like, this very clearly needs to pay off in some way. You better have thought about this.
Right. Yep. Yep. There's a lot of, I think of kind of the Uncharted movie now,
Mm,
when we're talking
yeah.
about this, like maybe that's a thing that just didn't have the, it seemed to take a left turn, maybe that
Mhm.
was fully intentional or maybe that just wasn't well thought out enough.
Right. Again,
So,
just we had a premise, like we had stars attached, we were gonna roll with it.
yep.
Just sort of like had to come up with something.
Yep. I'll read one more thing from him quick. Another
Mm,
tweet in this thread. I'd say after shooting with unfinished scripts, unprepared directors are the number 2 issue. It aggravates me to no end that so many directors, not most, but many, squander people's time, money, and talent by
mm,
walking onto a set not knowing where they're going to put the camera.
mhm. I saw that.